Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, calls for an investigation into the recent referendum. The Bahamas National Trust needs your help. But first, a man shot and killed while using the ATM. Welcome to our news. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, a senseless killing. That's how police are describing the cold-blooded murder of a man while using the ATM early this morning. Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean says it was around 8 a.m. on a rainy Sunday that police received the call, and when they arrived at the Scotiabank on the corner of Jerome Avenue and Wolf Road, they found the man's bullet-riddled body on the ground.
The information is preliminary now. Our detectives are on the ground. We're trying to determine exactly what happened. We don't have no motive. We suspect that it might be robbery, the initial outlook, but police are appealing to members of the public who might have been canvassing this area, who might have seen anything in this area, to please contact the police.
When our news arrived on the scene, the man's body could still be seen on the floor just in front of the ATM machine. And at the front of the building, his car, just as he left it. Dozens of onlookers lined Wolf Road near AID trying to get a glimpse.
We are appealing and we are saying to persons who might be responsible out there that the police will hunt you down. We will find you. We will seek you. We'll ask you at this moment, if you're watching this broadcast, to turn yourself in.
Police are now looking for this man. He's believed to have some involvement with this incident. The photo was taken from the ATM machine surveillance camera. So if you know this man, you're asked to contact police at 911-919 or Crime Stoppers anonymously at 328-TIPS. Again, police suspect this may have been an armed robbery gone terribly wrong. Dean used the opportunity to warn ATM users and everyone in general to be mindful of their surroundings.
We are asking members to be very cautious when particularly coming to the ATM machines, particularly when making deposits at banks, nighttime or daytime. We are asking you to please do not travel to these places alone. And in the most case, make sure there's someone with you. Check your surroundings. Business persons, we are asking you please to get a security firm. Look at your local police commander. There are many ways you can do things.
According to the Assistant Commissioner, times have changed and people must be more cautious.
The days of just coming to ATM machines casually late at night, early in the morning by yourself, we must take precautions, security precautions. Persons making deposit, we are seeing the trend of persons who are depositing monies to the bank, whether it's from business places, churches, wherever the case may be. They are doing it alone. We are asking you to get security on board.
But that was just the latest in what police believe is a spree of armed robberies that occurred over the past 2 days. Police reporting 5 armed robberies overnight. In one incident, 2 armed men reportedly held up a convenience store around 7:30 along Malcolm Road and got away with a small amount of cash. In another incident, a woman was robbed of a deposit bag and cash while attempting to make a deposit yesterday morning. And in 2 other separate incidents, 2 women were held up at gunpoint in front of their home and robbed of their cars. Police investigations into those incidents, as well as the 5 reported armed robberies from the night before, are underway. Well, in other news, amid criticism over how long it took for the results of the constitutional referendum to be officially tallied and released, opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis says there should be an investigation into the matter. Dana Smith reports.
Tuesday's referendum was followed by frustration and criticism over the amount of time it took the Parliamentary Registration Department to release the full results. Parliamentary Commissioner Sherlyn Hall has yet to explain exactly what held up the process, leaving many to question what, if anything, went wrong. Minnis said the matter needs to be looked into.
I think the whole issue needs to be investigated. It's very, very disturbing as to what transpired at the during the process.
Polling stations closed at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, yet results continue to come in as late as Thursday morning. It is customary that at the end of the night, overall results are available in all constituencies. Minister with responsibility for referenda, Dr. Bernard Nottage, said because there were 4 questions on the ballot, it took 4 times as long to examine each ballot sheet. Another fault Minnis took issue with, he said, the F&M had come to an agreement with the Parliamentary Registration Department, but it was not adhered to.
They would have opened the account and parliamentary, the voting booths without the, while the F&Ms were not allowed inside. And we clearly, we're not there necessarily from a political perspective. We were there for transparency to ensure that the process was correct. And the process had quite a number of faults.
Our news team also asked Minnis if he would attempt a similar referendum if the FNM is successful in the next general election. He said anything's possible.
I believe in consulting the people. I believe it's the people's time. I believe in giving the power back to the people. And the people will have their say. They will be confronted, they will have their say. And when they're ready, it'll come forth. And when it comes forth, because it would be with an involvement of the people, then I'm sure it would come through. But we must have that communication.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Dana Smith.
Well, it's no secret members of the Vote Yes team were left devastated by the referendum results, which saw an overwhelming rejection of the 4 constitutional amendment bills. But just how hard did some people really take it? Brandis Duncanson, a member of the Constitutional Commission, had been working for 4 years on the proposed changes and said for her, as a member of that body and as a woman, it was a blow.
I've put my heart and soul in this from the beginning. I believe in equal rights for all Bahamians, across political divides, across religion. I see people as who they are, as my brothers and sisters, and I took this fight on as one that I just wholeheartedly believed in, and I saw it the best. And the outcome wasn't what I anticipated, what I wanted, but I respect the decision of the Bahamians, and I accept their decision.
Back in 2013, the Constitutional Commission heard from representatives of various civic and religious groups on ways to make the Constitution better. Some of the recommendations touched on matters of immigration and gender equality, like the bills put to the people in Tuesday's referendum.
It's unfortunate, but I expected a different outcome. And I must say, I didn't expect for all the bills to have passed with a yes, but I didn't expect for all to fail with a resounding no.
So now that this referendum has failed, as was the case in 2002, we asked Constitutional Commission Chairman Sean McWeeny what's next for the commission and if we could see any more constitutional referenda.
I can say with a very high degree of certainty that you won't find any further constitutional bills, or certainly no further referendum for the remainder of the term of this government. That's for sure. Whether the Constitutional Commission will remain in its present form is something which will have to be the subject of some discussion.
McWeeny said he's already been a part of the commission longer than he had anticipated.
People don't realize this, I do this for free. I don't get paid for this. And initially I thought this was going to be a 1 or 2 year assignment, and here we are 4 years later. But I hope that the program is continued because there are 73 recommendations, There's no rush with any of them. This particular round, we wouldn't have selected gender equality alone, There were some other things which we had highlighted in our report as deserving of priority attention. For example, having an independent electoral boundaries commission was one of them. Having a truly independent, constitutionally independent director of public prosecutions, such that you can take away the Attorney General's powers of prosecution.
Well, thousands of teens exited high school over the last 2 weeks, and while some may be headed to college, there are others eager to jump into the labor force. But are there opportunities out there for them? Director of Youth at the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, K. Darren Turnquist, says over the past few years, more and more opportunities have opened up for young people.
At any point, if you would have asked me this question before, I would have said, we're trying. At this particular point, as a director of youth, I could say that the government is doing that in providing these apprenticeship programs for young people. And so the 5,000 plus that would be graduating, I think they're graduating at a very opportune time.
Turnquist said many opportunities have opened up for young people in the country, particularly through youth programs, but that people must take advantage of them.
During this time of this year, we've heard so many different programs geared towards young people, both marginalized and at-risk young people. And oftentimes people ask the question, who are marginalized young people? And I often say to them that I think every young person in any country is marginalized, because during the time of adolescence, during the time that when you're just graduating high school, there's so many options. It's kind of like the pendulum swinging to either good or bad. And we're trying our best to make certain that we keep our young people in the middle to make right decisions and be good community citizens.
Then there's the brain drain, the reality that many of the country's brightest minds are leaving with no plan of returning.
I think we have to make certain that young people who are abroad are aware of the opportunities that we have in country, and to make certain that they understand that those opportunities are accessible to them. My minister speaks all the time about access and opportunity, and so you see young people come back and the first thing that they say is, we weren't aware that it was happening. And so we've developed a website, which is the Youth Jobs 242 website, that we're really putting out there in this particular period to really gear private sector as well as public sector to join on, so that we can send these things through Instagram and Twitter. I'm still a little iffy on the Snapchat right now, but making sure that we meet young people where they're at. People won't be excited to come back if they don't feel that they have a seat at the table. And it's important to make certain that young people have a seat at the table. And the one thing the policy speaks about is that young people are not to be seen as liabilities in our country, but in fact assets. And so sometimes people hear about all of these young people that are graduating and what are they going to do. I don't think it's the idea of what are they going to do. What do we have for them to do? What are the opportunities for creativity and innovation? And I think that challenge goes out to private sector as well. You got 500 great brains that can be fashioned by you in private sector, also by the public sector, by other NGOs. What do we have that they can be able to create? New apps, new forms of technology.